Good evening, or good afternoon. It's about 12:42. We've been here all morning, and we've got the squall line starting to move through the area. We had a brief tornado warning just west of Tallahassee here, down in southwest Leon and parts of Liberty County earlier. And we've had a very strong line of wind pushing through a lot of this rain. You can actually see that here. It's called a bow echo, and this is pushing out all of this rain. This has been producing about 100 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes over a period of just 5 minutes. So this is very lightning active here. Time to move inside if you're in Tallahassee or if you're in Quincy. Also, if you're in Woodville, down towards the south of Tallahassee. Also Crawfordville, in that area, you may want to keep that in mind. There are no warnings in effect right now, but that tornado watch is in effect until 3 o'clock. You can see that outline in red. And the Storm Prediction Center is talking about expanding that tornado watch off towards the east. But I want to talk about that area just pushing into the capital circle now. This has a lot of lightning in it and winds of upwards of 50 miles per hour, sub-severe for now. But you can hear that thunder here behind me. That is bringing in a lot of rain, a lot of lightning. This is going to push through pretty quickly here over the next half an hour through the capital city. A lot of rain down towards Carabel as well. Again, this lightning continues way down into the Gulf. A couple thousand lightning strikes here over the last hour or so. We'll get to that lightning map here in just a bit, but there is a lot of wind. I want to show you a little bit of that here. Here in green is the wind coming in towards the radar site being located here in Tallahassee. The red here and the pink is wind blowing away from the radar. So this is basically blowing from west to east or just south of due west here. So what things to notice here, there's a little bit of a kink here in southern Gadsden County. I'm watching that area, possible spinach there. Pushing off towards the north and east. There's been a couple of these ripples along this initial line just pushing into Tallahassee now. This is going to be some very strong wind here. Again, 40 to maybe 50 miles per hour as this makes its way into the capital city. It's time to move inside, folks. It's going to get pretty nasty here over the next 5 to 15 minutes as this moves through. Lots of lightning, lots of thunder, and lots of wind here. Again, 40 to 50 miles per hour. It's time to move inside. No warnings again in effect right now, but there's a lot of wind. This goes way back into the Gulf of Mexico here. Zooming back in, you can actually see a little bit of wind here. This is actually the cloud line here. This is the front of that line of storms pushing down into Carabel, East Point, already gone through there in Franklin County. Moving into that watch here, this watch again until 3 o'clock. This will be slowly shaved back, but the Storm Prediction Center is mentioning that they are going to extend this tornado watch, about an 80% chance of that watch being extended to our east. Here's another look at that wind. This is a little bit different. This is actually storm relative, and I'm going to go ahead and pass this on by just to get some more important information here. Here's that lightning map. Again, a lot of lightning, upwards of 1,000 strikes here in Leon County and down towards the south. Everything here in white is coming in within the last few minutes here. Everything in red is just a little bit older, but still a lot of lightning here just over the last 5 minutes. The National Weather Service is talking about 120 cloud-to-ground strikes in 5 minutes. That's a lot of lightning here. That's just takes one lightning strike here to cause some damage to buildings and roofs and trees as well. There's already been a couple of trees been striked and debarked out towards the west. Again, that's very hot lightning. You can see these lightning strikes popping up every minute here, just popping up across the map. You do not want to be outside. Time to move inside now. Another threat here, flash flood watch is in effect for some very heavy rainfall. The rainfall rates in this line are 1 to 2 inches, possibly a little bit higher as it moves into the strongest line. No damage reports in our area just yet, but there have been quite a few wind threat, a couple of trees being blown over, power lines being blown over, that sort of thing, and a couple of reports of damage from lightning themselves debarking those trees. Again, as we head through the afternoon, the wind is going to be the biggest threat. Right now, we're only seeing winds up maybe upwards of 50, 55 miles per hour, still sub-severe, but it only takes a couple of miles per hour to get upwards to that severe limit. The peak wind so far at Tallahassee is at 32 knots or about 36 miles per hour here in Tallahassee, although that wind could come up. Again, the main threat is going to be the wind. Have that NOAA weather radio or your cell phone ready. Again, this batch of rainfall is starting to come in around the west central panhandle, moving up into Defuniak Springs, Mariana eventually in the next half an hour. But there is that line. This is the line we're concerned about for the biggest severe threat, moving through the capital city now to Cairo, down towards Apalachicola, East Point, Carabel, but that line continues down towards the south. This is going to move through our entire area and possibly intensify as it moves on towards the east up into Madison. We'll be talking about Perry not too long from now, and up towards Valdosta as well. That goes up into central Georgia. Here's a closer look here. Tallahassee really getting in on that action now. Quincy also getting in on a lot of that thunderstorm activity. St. Mark's will be up next. We're going to head over to Ulysses now for another look at some of the severe weather.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. As we look at that severe weather right now, you notice right now the radar just over Tallahassee right now. The rain is just starting to pound. You can hear the lightning just outside. A lot of the rain, like Jonathan mentioned, now Quincy, Bainbridge, they're all under the heavy rain right now. As we expanded out with the radars and warnings, we did have that expired tornado warning that expired around 12 o'clock over Liberty and into southwest Leon County. But a lot of that heavy rain, you notice past I-10 from Quincy to points west, still heavy rain, folks. That's really going to mean once we get through this strong line of storms right now over Tallahassee, the rest of the afternoon will pretty much be the rain, folks. A couple inches of rain. Just remember, turn around, don't drown. It's better to take the long way or even just stay at home today. If you really don't have to go out today, it's just better to wait it out till this evening or even until tomorrow to do any activities. But you see points west, a lot of rain towards the east though. Perry, Valdosta, get ready because all this rain is coming for you. And with these storms, some of these storms can intensify this afternoon, especially with all that daytime heating and all that moisture just pumping in ahead of this rain and storms in front of it. When you look at that radar and alerts are even closer, that tornado watch is still in effect until 3 o'clock this afternoon, folks. The rain is just starting to enter Tallahassee right now. The line of storms extends down into Carabel. They're seeing also the brunt of it. Panacea is next. St. Mark's is just getting ready to enter that action, and even Thomasville as well. A lot of heavier rain just towards points west, towards Mariana, Wilma, Bluntstown. They're all getting now that moderate to heavy rain, so just be careful out there, folks. When you look at the storm relative radar, you notice a lot of that wind, the wind coming in is the green. That's really pretty much coming towards Tallahassee right now. You notice it points closer. That green is now over Tallahassee. The red is the wind pushing away. We're going to be monitoring this throughout the afternoon to see if there's any possible rotations or any debris that we see from all these storms. So this is just really going to be one of those radars that we're going to be keeping an eye out this afternoon, folks, with all this strong and severe weather out there. We expanded out throughout the rest of the Big Bend and into the Panhandle. A lot of that green extending all the way into the Gulf as well. The storms are really strong. A lot of lightning, winds extending into the north central Gulf. As we look at even further out into the radar, the tornado watch in effect till 3 p.m., folks. We do expect, though, hopefully, that the rest of the eastern Big Bend should be under that tornado watch because we do expect that some of these storms will be pretty strong going into Perry, Valdosta, and even points east marching towards Jacksonville on the I-10 corridor. So right now it's over us, but we do expect eventually a tornado watch for our eastern viewing area. Like before, that storm relative radar, a lot of that green, just the winds coming in, the red coming out, winds blowing out, away. It's just all over the place. Just remember to keep an eye with these storms, folks. If you're at church right now, it's just better to stay in and wait it out till this strong weather just pushes through from all that lightning, because these lightning strikes could hit people and even take down some trees and some power lines. So power outages could be possible. As you see, that lightning strikes, really impressive. We already had about 120 cloud-to-ground strikes in the last 5 to 10 minutes, over 1,000 within the last hour. It's very impressive all throughout Carabel and all the way up to points north up to Macon. Flash flood watch in effect until 8 o'clock this evening. Tallahassee, Panama City, Dothan with actually a flash flood warning in effect. So just a couple of inches of rain, like before I mentioned it. Turn around, don't drown. Just be careful out there, folks, because even some of these waters, even going into the early work week when the sun comes, any local rivers like the Apalachicola River could begin to crest as we go into the early work week. And now and when it comes to those storm reports, we do see some wind reports, especially towards the northwest of Mariana, where some of those stronger storms occurred earlier this morning. But now we're going to send it over to Casey with more information on this strong storm threat.
Thanks so much, Ulysses. Again, we're monitoring the situation very closely right now. Just getting a report on the FSU campus of 33-knot winds, so pretty close to 40-mile-an-hour winds, under severe limits being reported on the main campus. No warning in effect right now. That's the reason because of it, but we do have some pretty serious radar imagery showing up right now, moving through the metro area, moving through much of our area, reds and yellows, and actually you can kind of see a little bit of weakening. Maybe that's because they're getting very close to the radar site here. That's not, their storms aren't actually weakening. It's just that the rain's on top of the radar site, so it's actually hard to see into the storms. And we actually just seen a power, or well, I should say, the power kind of flickered here in the studio, if you just noticed. But again, we're still on the air here. Again, we're monitoring the situation very closely right now. Again, we do have these watches in effect. The tornado watch does remain in effect till 3 p.m. and we have these storms moving right over the metro area right now here. Some strong storms moving through here. Again, these are not actually severe, but there's extreme lightning with these folks. This is a pretty serious lightning weather situation here. One of the most we've seen here in the last 5 years or so in the Wardis area. There's just hundreds of lightning strikes here within a few mile radius of the FSU campus. So a pretty serious situation on our hands right now. Again, you see the rain moving from this north to the south and along this line and moving toward the east here into Wardis area. So again, we're monitoring this very closely into Wardis area. Again, kind of going ahead and taking a look though here at the reflectivities, at your base velocities. And we do see here that there is some very gusty winds being indicated on radar here. Again, in the green color here, we have some winds 40 to 50 miles an hour right now on the base velocities being indicated here in this lighter green in parts of western Leon, also parts of central Gadsden County, I beg your pardon, and also getting in toward some areas to the east as well. We're trying to gather new information here, so if I look off camera occasionally, I'm just trying to get that information for you so we know the latest information here for our viewers. Now, your radar and alerts, again, we have this tornado watch in effect here. This really tells through, but I want to focus on these lightning strikes here. We have extensive lightning over the metro area right now. You just see some of them popping on in the whites. And what I'm going to do, I want to actually step out real quick and I'll read you some of the roads that the lightning strikes are being reported on here across our area. Again, we're getting these lightning strikes being reported here in quite a few neighborhoods of Leon County. Some of the latest ones being reported here, some of them right near the FSU campus. In fact, it looks like we had some lightning strikes reported here right around West Carolina Street, West Virginia Street as well, near Call Honors Way here. Some lightning strikes being reported here in the Wardis area, including cloud-to-ground bolts here. We've seen that power flicker. It could be because of one of those just moments ago here. And in fact, we've just had a severe thunderstorm warning issued for Leon County, including the Tallahassee metro area, folks. This goes until 1:30 this afternoon. So what I want to do here, I'll step back on here. Again, we see this very closely. The sirens will probably go off here momentarily here in the weather studio. So it's giving you a heads up if you hear some noises in the background. That's what it's going to be because we're going to stay with you here on this severe thunderstorm warning, because this is a pretty serious weather situation that we do have on our hands this afternoon with this severe weather making its way through the metro area. Again, extensive lightning with this, the most in Leon County, and 60-mile-an-hour winds. I'm going to step up and get a little more information on this warning, in fact, here. And what I want to do, I want to see some of the neighborhoods being impacted by this warning here. Again, this warning does go until 1:30 this afternoon, including Killarney Estates. I'll pull up the radar and kind of say a little bit closer look at this. In fact, Killarney Estates, Bradfordville, Forest Meadows Park, also Moccasin Gap, McClay State Gardens, Killarney Lakes, Lake Jackson, and Macon Community Park. Again, you need to move inside immediately, folks, if you haven't already, because there's extensive lightning with this afternoon. And what I want to do, I'm going to pull up the isolated imagery here. And what's interesting is this warning looks like, even though it's for parts of the Tallahassee metro area and parts of the Tallahassee city limits, it doesn't actually include the FSU campus. So that's something interesting. So those sirens did not go off, actually, unless for this situation, since this warning is to the north and east of the metro. It actually does include part of the city limits, though, here this afternoon. But again, this warning does not, it technically includes Tallahassee, but it does not technically include the FSU campus. So just want to make that note here. Kind of an interesting situation with this warning, because the severe storm's right about here over Tallahassee, but the warning is actually for locations more to the northeast of the actual metro area and the FSU campus. Again, we're monitoring this situation very closely with the lightning situation, but right now we're going to go ahead and send it to Tyler with more.
Thank you, Casey. And here we can see there's a lot of lightning So if you see standing water on the roadways, it's best not to guess about how much
over there.
rain
His
is
mic
in.
is dead.
Turnarounds on the ground, it's really not safe to be gauging how much it's going to rain because the rain's coming in at a pretty prolific pace right now. We do have the wind reports way up here, just northwest of our noon area. That's for areas like Blakely, Mariana, northern Jackson County, right along the Alabama-Florida state line and the tri-state region. No official reports here. However, we're not really seeing, we haven't seen the worst of it yet. Again, there's a pretty low chance of the tornado. There was a tornado warning earlier for southwestern Leon County, but the chance of that happening is pretty low. The wind threat, especially in Tallahassee, areas to northeast of town, again, the main risk with that severe thunderstorm warning is the straight line winds. For winds up to 60 miles an hour to the north and northeast of Tallahassee. And there's actually a tornado warning that has just been issued for northeastern Leon County. Northeastern Leon County, in about the same area that the severe thunderstorm warning was located. This includes the right near Rose Hill Drive East. This is north of I-10, where I-10 goes up through Thomasville Road, all the way up past Godby, not Godby High School, Childs High School. Sorry about that. 3 miles north of I-10, it's to the northeast, around 30 miles an hour towards the state line. So if you are located right along Thomasville Road, north and east of I-10, you need to be in the lowest portion of your home, the ground floor, basement if possible, away from windows, in the center of the room. You want as many walls in between you and the outside of the house as possible. And just ride this out for about the next hour until this passes. There is still some rain further to the south and west, over towards Wakulla, southwestern Leon County. That will continue to move northeastward into Thomas County and Jefferson County. But again, right now, our main concern is for northeastern Leon. Again, this includes the city of Tallahassee near Midtown, but it does not include downtown, does not include the Capitol building, and it does not include the FSU campus. This is in effect for another 30 minutes until 1:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in Leon County. Again, right along Thomasville Road from I-10 up to the state line. And again, the flash flood watch. But now we're going to send it back over to Luis with our next segment.
All right, thanks.
More about the tornado warning.
Thanks, Tyler. When it looks into that tornado warning, we're going to look at, it's actually going to affect a couple of communities, especially over the northeastern Leon County. It's going to affect Tallahassee, pretty much north of I-10 on US 319 on Thomasville Road, Bradfordville, McClay State Gardens, Killearn Lakes, McCassin Gap, Forest Meadows Park. So all these areas, just be on the lookout for any tornadoes, any funnel clouds, and just remember to head either to the most interior room possible, or any possible basements, anything away from the windows, folks. This is a really serious matter, and it's in effect till 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time. As we look at it, it's just northeast of Tallahassee, heading into that Georgia state line, heading over into the county of Thomas County. So even Thomasville right now, just be careful out there. Also, just because this is all marching towards the northeast. So it's going to be pretty much a very active afternoon. The rest of the Big Bend, however, just seeing more moderate rain, especially just south of Tallahassee, heading towards US 319 south, towards Panacea and Apalachicola on US 98. But really, that tornado warning, folks, just take cover right now and make sure to just be, somewhere safe until 1:30 this afternoon, folks. That's the main thing right now. That tornado watch is still in effect till 3 p.m. Conditions are favorable for tornadoes. We've been seeing these tornado warnings developing throughout this morning and now early afternoon. It's really this little bow echo here just extending northeast of Tallahassee. That's the part where that tornado warning is in effect. So just be careful. Take look out. Don't even hit the roads right now. It's not worth it, folks. Just make sure to stay in. Have your NOAA radios handy. Just listen to any alerts or any updates for when this warning gets expired, lifted, or even moves on to the next county, because it's going to be a rough afternoon, folks. You notice that line of storms extends down all the way to Carabel. Really very bad weather, especially on US 319 all around from the state line all the way down to the Gulf Coast. West of that, more just moderate heavy rain. Mariana, they actually had some wind reports just to the northwest of them hours ago. You can notice in this storm relative radar, a lot of the green blowing in and also the red blowing away from. And pretty much most of the area that we're looking at, the tornado warning pretty much encompasses this northeastern corridor of the county. So really, just folks, just remember to take cover right now. It's really important that you do that, especially right now. We expanded out a lot of, just it's going to be a very active afternoon, folks. Very active. Let's take it a little bit closer. The green just blowing in, the red blowing away. And it's really much right over on top of the Tallahassee area where that tornado warning is being posted. Let's look it over again till 1:30 p.m., folks. That tornado warning and even that severe thunderstorm warning in effect in the same area till 1:30 p.m., folks. Just remember to take cover. Monticello is nearby that tornado warning, so they're on the outside looking in. But, just also look out even in Monticello as well, especially if you're looking towards the northwest. You'll see a lot of that heavy activity with the rain, hail, strong winds, especially above 58 miles per hour with 60 mile per hour winds, folks. Let's see here, and we'll take a step back just to see if there's any possible updates here in the last couple of minutes. They did extend a tornado watch now into the coastal waters from the Achaluki River to Apalachicola, Florida. And also the tornado watch now extends towards Franklin, Gaston, Jefferson, and even points east now into Thomas, Tiff, Turner, Decatur, and even into Lee. So now that the tornado watch is now extended, and it's in effect until 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. But, yes. So yeah, until 8 o'clock. You said till 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. That includes now Perry, Valdosta, and now points east, folks. So now the eastern part of our viewing area is under that tornado watch, folks. And we're also, so right now we're also getting reports that this tornado warning that's in effect over northeastern Leon County is now marching towards eventually into Thomas County. So just be on the lookout as well in Thomas County. And now I'm going to send it over to Jonathan for more information about this tornado warning.
Yeah, that tornado warning continues until the middle of the hour. It's 1:30 here. 1 o'clock local time here in Tallahassee. 1:30 is when both of those warnings will continue in northern Leon County. I'm taking a look here really quick at some radar imagery up towards the north to see exactly what the National Weather Service is looking at. Bradfordville is the closest location. It's pretty much dead center in the middle of this warning here. In northern Leon County, this continues again until 1:30. There's both a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning for northern Leon County. This, again, does not include the FSU campus. It includes the outskirts, and I think even the outskirts have been now taken out of that warning, especially the tornado warning. Bradfordville is the major city included in that warning. Moving off towards the north and east, that's that similar bow echo that we were watching up towards the north and east. I'm going to go ahead and take this over to a new tool that we were talking about. This is called correlation coefficient here. This is the first time we're airing this here. This is what we're looking at here. We're going to bring this down towards the south and east. Take a look at northern Leon County here. What we're looking at here is how similar objects are in the atmosphere. Again, a raindrop from the left to the right part of the particle and the north and the south part of the particle, if they're pretty similar, you'll show up as red here. That's what we're seeing. A lot of rain around the area. What we would see in debris, what we're talking about here is trees, maybe some dirt, debris, that sort of thing. What we're going to see here is a slight lowering in this yellow color here. Is what we're seeing is possible debris being picked up by this tornado moving off towards the north and east. Most of this area is pretty forest area, so what I'm seeing is probably some trees. We're going to go back to the radar imagery here now and look at this warning again in northern Leon County here. You can see that moving up towards the north and east. This will expire at about 1:30. The squall line seems to be weakening even down towards the south, farther from the radar, contrary to what we were thinking before. We're seeing maybe a weakening as we get into maybe some more stable air. Something else to notice, there's a lot of shower activity down in the Gulf. This is maybe taking some of the energy from Wakulla County down towards the south. And I'm coming over for some new information. The city of Tallahassee is now reporting power outages to about 1,000 customers on North Mission and West Tennessee Street in the Appleyard area, so maybe closer to TCC here in Tallahassee. As this strong line moved through earlier, could have caused some power outages. We saw those lights flicker here in the studio about 10 to 15 minutes ago. Here's this line move through with winds of about 38 miles per hour. Again, below severe limits here in Tallahassee, but up towards the north and east, we're talking about some stronger storms. Here's a closer look at that bow echo. The stronger line seems to be becoming more north-south oriented. What we're talking about here is winds are now coming basically out of the west-northwest. Earlier they were coming out of the west-southwest and pushing this line up towards the north and east out in advance of most of this rainfall. And that signified to us there was some very strong winds up towards the north and west, and they're seeing something similar here. There's a lot of chatter going on here in the studio. There's a lot of reports coming in now of power outages, about 800 customers near Crenshaw, the Indian River area here in Tallahassee, Levy and Lake areas here in Tallahassee. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some up near the Klarn area north of Tallahassee. Up closer to northern Leon County, could also see some power outages up towards the north. I want to talk about this watch off towards the west. This includes all of our eastern counties, or off towards the east. All of our eastern counties are now in that watch until 8 o'clock this evening. This includes the Swanee River Valley, and that continues up into eastern Georgia. But again, I'm very interested in this rain shower activity down towards the south over Appalachia Bay. That could be taking some of the energy out of this southern part of this line down here, down towards the south, off towards the south. That wind doesn't look nearly as impressive. Again, red here being away from the radar, green towards the radar. So we've got winds out of the west-southwest, out of the west here, and then eventually out of the northwest in the northern parts of Leon County. We can actually see what they were probably looking at is this little feature here. A little bit of rotation here in northern Leon County. This is moving off towards the north and east and seems to be weakening, although these small spin-ups could be possible throughout the day. As this whole line moves on towards the south. Lots of wind out in the Gulf, so this is going to be a couple of hours of some gusty to possibly breezy conditions until this whole line gets out of here. Another look at those warnings. Tornado warning stays in effect until 1:30 all the way up to the Florida-Georgia line up towards the north for, again, Bradfordville is the biggest city in the location. Lots of lightning down towards the south here, all the way from Carabel, some new strikes down there, St. Mark's, Tallahassee, and up towards Thomasville now. We're getting closer to them. At one point we were up to 120 strikes per 5 minutes. That's well over 1,000 strikes just within the capital circle here, and probably closer to 2,000 strikes across the Big Bend region over the last hour or so. Flash flood is going to be a possibility over the next few hours. This watch stays in effect until about 8 o'clock. So if you are driving west on I-10 from Tallahassee over towards Mariana, Defuniak Springs, keep that in mind. Also in Panama City, if you're driving down towards St. George Island, some of that ponding will be possible. If you see the road is covered, please turn around and don't drown, because this area here in green, we're going to be talking about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall for just about everyone, and I think a lot of these areas have already seen about an inch of rain as this whole line is moving off towards the east, but we'll probably add about a half an inch to an inch onto that. None of those power outages have shown up here due to the wind. However, there have been some off towards the west. We'll be catching up on those reports here over the next half an hour or so. We'll be going to go check on the latest information. Again, we're looking more weak than it was before. Possible tornado debris signature, that's radar indicated up towards the north. Possible brief touchdown up in that tornado warning area earlier, about 10 to 15 minutes ago probably. Brief signature, still waiting on reports. That's an unconfirmed tornado up towards the north there, again in the Bradfordville area up towards the north. Seems to be weakening, although we're still watching that area up towards the north. St. Mark's, and we've got another warning. Oh, nope, we've got a cancellation here on that warning for northeast Leon County. So we're in the clear for that. Again, we're looking at that weakening here for northern Leon County, but those winds are still possible. That severe thunderstorm warning still is in effect for northeast Leon County, again, dealing with this little cell here, moving up towards the north. This is becoming a little less impressive on radar, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Casey now here for the next look at severe weather.
That's right. Again, that tornado warning has been canceled. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning still in effect, though, for this area here. And that does go here for the next little bit. Again, we're watching that potential for severe weather in these areas. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning does still remain in effect for the Bradfordville area of northern Leon County. Again, we're monitoring this very closely here with our radar and with our warnings. Again, areas around Bradfordville with the severe thunderstorm warning that does remain in effect, kind of broadening the view here, looking at your lightning strikes. These do extend from the north to the south, down toward the St. Mark's area, up toward Thomasville. Extensive lightning in these areas here, folks. Again, that's the real story here with this, that if you're not getting the worst of this, been under a tornado warning, then you're getting just extensive lightning in your area. Very dangerous situation here, especially in just to the east of downtown Tallahassee now and moving toward the east and areas in Jefferson County. They'll need to watch out in just a little bit here with this weather situation. Again, a flash flood watch it does remain in effect here for our area for the next little bit. Again, flooding conditions are possible here in that area. We could see some areas get up toward 4 inches of rain in isolated communities. Luckily, haven't had any tornado reports here on the actual storm reports. Again, we're monitoring this threat closely, but I'm going to step up to get some more information here. And as I do so, we'll go ahead and get this information to you. This severe thunderstorm warning does remain in effect till 1:30 this afternoon. 60-mile-an-hour winds, 12 miles northeast of Tallahassee, indicated on radar this afternoon here for this area. So we're watching this very closely around Moccasin Gap as well here. This warning does remain in effect here. Pretty rural area, though, just over 1,000 people in those communities. Kind of going ahead and pulling up the radar, we'll go ahead and take a look here closely here at the region, and you'll see this line of storms moving through here and moving toward the east this afternoon. Again, going to our wind detection tool, though, we will see that there is some pretty gusty winds here that are moving toward the east this afternoon. Again, we're watching parts of Gadsden County, getting into northern Leon County as well here. Very gusty winds with this. A severe thunderstorm warning does remain in effect. So luckily that tornado warning for northern Leon County has since expired, so that's the good news. But we're still watching very gusty winds, potentially in excess of 60 miles an hour here. In this red color, you see this wind here. This is going toward the radar site. We would see potentially some rotation, but that's not occurring right now. So that's some good news. That would show up as winds going one way and winds going the other way from the radar site. I want to kind of go ahead and point your attention to some more information here. Again, we're monitoring this very closely this afternoon here across our area. What I want to do, though, is we were getting reports earlier of a debris signature being indicated on the radar site here. Excuse me. And this has moved toward northern areas, other metro. I'll see if I can kind of point this out to you. It's really hard to discern, which is good news. We obviously don't want to see this. It's easy to discern here, but if you can look closely here, just to the north of the Tallahassee metro area, we had a little bit of green and yellow isolated away from the rest of this line, that you can kind of see that there's maybe a little bit of debris here on the radar site, and that was reported here in the northern part of Tallahassee. So a possible tornado did touch down in that area. We see a little bit of something that looks a little bit suspicious here, but we're not really too concerned with that right now. We'll monitor that for you here, as we do have some damaging winds, so there could be just a tad of debris in this if there is some damaging winds in these communities. But again, we're monitoring this very closely with the correlation coefficient. Again, kind of just going ahead and recapping the situation for now. Much of this warning has been trimmed back, so that's the good news here. Just a severe thunderstorm warning for just over 1,000 people in northeastern Leon County right now. So that's a bit of some good news here. Again, we're monitoring this from the north to the south. This line, the way it's oriented, moving to the east. And we do have some very gusty winds within this here. Southwest Georgia, also getting into eastern Leon and parts of eastern McCulloch County as well. Again, pretty gusty winds here. We're going to watch for spin-ups throughout the day with this. Damaging winds, heavy rain, cloud-to-ground lightning here as this storm system moves to the east. Luckily, it looks like the worst in the way of severe threats are over for the Tallahassee metro area, though. But areas to the east really need to watch out here. We could have some flash flooding if some of these storms start to thaw out a little bit. We'll monitor that for you. Right now, they look like they're moving pretty fast, though, to the east, so that's a bit of good news. So again, we're going to monitor this very closely here this afternoon, just giving you that look at the radar here. Again, if you're in Jefferson County, Madison, Taylor County, you need to be weather aware for the next couple hours. And this severe threat will move toward your area. But right now, we're going to go ahead and try to get some more weather information here with this weather situation right now. Ulysses will have that.
All right, thanks, Casey. As you look at that radar right now, we're still under that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for northeastern Leon County, especially the town of Bradfordville, and heading towards that state line with Georgia on US 319 on Thomasville Road. Just be careful, folks. Still heavy rain, gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour or more with some possible, hail. Good news is that tornado warning did expire just about a couple minutes ago, so that's great news. But we do still see a heavy line of storms with heavy lightning extending pretty much on the US 319 corridor all the way down into the Gulf Coast. You notice that heavier line extending into the northern Gulf. And we also do see more moderate rain, though, now over Mariana and even points west. So the storm is pushing towards the east right now. To take a closer look at that on that radar, Tallahassee right now is just getting ready to pass the brunt of it, but still northeast Leon County is still under that severe thunderstorm warning in effect till 1:30 in the afternoon, folks. 1:30 in the afternoon. St. Mark's is right now getting ready to get pounded with all this heavy rain and lightning. And we do see that new tornado watch in effect from Taylor County to points east until 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. That tornado watch extends over now Jacksonville, Savannah, Georgia, and even parts of South Carolina, and even to the very southern portion of North Carolina. So this tornado watch is pretty much going to encompass the evening corridor, especially on I-10. It's going to be a rough commute heading towards Jacksonville. So folks, just be careful out there. Just remember, we're also under a flash flood watch in effect till 8 o'clock this evening. So we're going to get a couple inches out of this rain, up to 4 to 5 inches depending where you are. Turn around, don't drown. When it comes to our wind radar, you notice that all the wind blowing in, we've been getting winds mostly out of the south, southwest, and even some out of the west. And that's all pushing towards the east. We also do see the wind blowing out. And we also even do see a little bit of where they thought where the tornado warning was posted just earlier this afternoon over northeastern Leon County as well. When we take a broader look at that, a lot of that green, the wind blowing in, coming out of the west and out of the southwest towards Tallahassee and even points east now. So get ready, Jefferson County, Taylor County, you guys are next, Thomas County, and even points east like Lowndes County towards Valdosta. You guys are in the next round for later on this afternoon. Like I said before, severe thunderstorm warning in effect till 1:30 p.m. That tornado watch over Tallahassee and points west is in effect till 3 o'clock daylight time. And I'm going to step out just to see if we have any possible updates or any new information. We have seen that as of right now, there hasn't been any significant debris observed over Bannerman through Killearn Lakes, which is excellent news. We do have seen some street flooding already been reported so far. And we also have seen a possible spot of damage already occurring on Meridian Road just north of I-10, entering the southern portion of Killearn, folks. So we're starting to get some of those updates out there. The good news is that right now it's been just overall just maybe a couple trees down. Nothing really strong yet, folks, but we'll be keeping all this eye throughout this afternoon on FSU weather. And as we look at those lightning strikes, have been really impressive. Just about a half an hour ago, we did get about 120 cloud to ground lightning strikes in a 5-minute period, which is over 1,000 if you were to put it within an hour. And pretty much has been dominating from Thomas County all the way down to St. Mark's. So the lightning is really impressive. So just remember, folks, just to take cover. You don't really need to be out there, especially with all that lightning around. It only takes one just to hit you. And just remember, folks, you got better chances of getting hit by lightning than even winning the lottery, folks. So it's really not worth it. When it comes to that flash flood watch, in effect, remember till 8 o'clock tonight. Turn around, don't drown, especially Panama City, Dothan, Albany. This will eventually probably even extend further east as we go into the late afternoon, into the evening. So all these areas like Valdosta, Jacksonville, be on the lookout as well, because they're also going to see heavy rain as well later on this afternoon. And now when it comes to the storm reports, we did receive some storm reports just to the northwest of Mariana. And we've also been looking at pictures throughout here at FSU Weather from areas even in southeastern Alabama with some pretty impressive damage from some of these storms from earlier this morning. But now we're going to send it over to Tyler, and he's going to break us down more about this severe weather threat.
Yeah, so of course we do have, you can see we have this little polygon up here. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. We're in effect until 1:30. We're going to stay with you as long as the severe weather warning is in effect for our viewing area. So for northeastern Leon, along Thomasville Road, you still want to keep weather aware in your shelter, away from most windows, and just be really safe. You don't really want to go driving out. The other major issue we have is for the rest of the region, you can see this moisture tongue leading down the Gulf from Apalachicola up to Carabel, St. Mark's, and now eastern Leon County. And that's been sort of sitting over in the same area for the past hour or so. This additional light rain
So it's going to start tanking in.
Oh,
come on, man.
Could issue a flash flood or a flood advisory. We do have a flash flood watch in effect until this evening for Tallahassee, and that could cause some flooding issues. So if you are in a car and you have to wonder if you're going to gauge how deep a puddle is, it's always better to overestimate how much water there is rather than underestimate it, because you don't want your car to be swept away. I know some of these hills, especially on FSU campus, you go down by the stadium, the water sort of drains down the hill towards the stadium. So therefore, we could see some rain there. We do have the tornado watch in effect for Tallahassee until 3 o'clock, and areas just east from Jefferson County eastward through the rest of our area, right there. And that's in effect, that goes all the way over to Jacksonville and Gainesville. That's in effect until 8 o'clock Eastern time there in Northeast Florida. Lightning strikes, of course, with this severe thunderstorm, there's obviously lightning and thunder around. It's really not a safe drive anywhere along the I-10 and Tallahassee roadways right now. Eastern Leon County, Wakulla County, and going into Jefferson, those areas are getting a lot of rain and, of course, severe weather right now. The flash flood watch is in effect mainly from areas Tallahassee westward, and areas like Mariana and those areas in the western Florida Panhandle that have already seen 10 to 12 inches of rain this week. Those are the areas we're concerned about. But even here in Tallahassee, if we get those training storms to continue coming out of the south, we could see 3 to 6 inches possibly today. And Tallahassee floods rather easily, so therefore flash flooding is a concern. So then again, turn around, don't drown. We don't have any official reports, although if we did have a tornado report, it would be I-10 just north of Meridian Road, going north of I-10 by Midtown, and just north of there. And right now we have wind reports in northwestern Jackson County and up by the tri-state area. But now we're going to send it over to John to continue talking about the severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, that severe thunderstorm warning does go for another half an hour, or 5 minutes. Sorry, that's my bad. 5 minutes here. We're going until 1:30. I don't think they'll extend that here in Tallahassee or here in Leon County. Here's that warning just to the northeast. Pretty small area here, just about 500 folks or a little bit less than that up in extreme northeastern Leon County. I think that'll be expired here pretty shortly. But that line continues down back towards Panacea, St. George Island, picking up on some late to moderate rainfall. That rain continues to pump into St. Mark's. We're going to be talking about the fishing villages in eastern St. Mark's there, right along the Jefferson County line, starting to pick up on some heavier rainfall. It looks like they're in a little bit of a lull right now. The heaviest rain is pushing off towards the east, but as Tyler mentioned, we'll be talking about a training threat. I want to illustrate here the effect of training here. Training is the effect that rain will continue to pump in, kind of like a fire hose, in this case, from southwest to northeast, and it's going to continue to do this over the next hour or so. It is continuing to pump in a lot of water. These rainfall rates are right around 1 to 2 inches of rain, and I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe Jefferson and points eastward maybe added to that flash flood threat. The official watch not including those locations just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised because this line is very slowly inching off towards the east here. But there's a lot of rain off towards the west, Panama City, over even farther west along the coastline over to Fort Walton Beach, picking up on some late to moderate rainfall there. But a lot of lightning here, also slowly moving off towards the east. You can see this very heavy rainfall in eastern Leon County, now passing the Capital Circle, now down into St. Marks, Panacea, down towards St. George Island, picking up on some very heavy rainfall. Also, that lightning is a big factor here. Wind, not so much a factor anymore. We're not seeing those bright greens and that bright red that would signify to us some very high wind counts. The highest we saw here was about 36 to 38 miles per hour here at the Florida State University campus. That has continued to weaken. However, the rainfall rates have continued very high here in Tallahassee. We're talking about the rainfall rates here on campus, about 3/4 of an inch. Here we're still waiting on the Tallahassee official total here, but that severe thunderstorm warning will probably disappear off the screen while I'm talking about this screen here. But that tornado watch continues until 3 o'clock from basically Tallahassee and points eastward, and then a secondary tornado watch box for the slow progression of that squall line off towards the east. That tornado watch continues until 8 o'clock this evening for Jefferson, Madison, Taylor, and our Georgia counties as well. For Brooks and Lowndes, so Valdosta, you're in that until 8 o'clock as that slowly pushes off towards the east. Lots of lightning to talk about, starting to get up into Thomasville, Cairo. We're talking about you. Valdosta, we're going to be about probably an hour before you get into this. Perry, pretty similar there, about an hour, maybe hour and a half in Perry. Madison will be talking about an hour or so. But again, this line has really slowed down its progression kind of right over eastern Leon County, down towards Crawfordville and St. Marks, the eastern fishing villages there. A lot more scattered lightning down towards the south. Not a great day to go out on the boat. Wait until maybe next weekend to head out on the boat. We'll come down tomorrow, and then we have to worry about that cool front coming in late tomorrow. That'll really clear us out of all of this storm activity. The biggest watch here is the flash flood watch. We're going to have to worry about that training over the next hour or so as that line really slows down. That severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire, although the damage has been done already on Meridian Road just north of I-10. We're talking about the area just around the Clarn Lakes area, Clarn Lakes Elementary School, the middle school in that area. But again, I think we're starting to transition now to this threat, the flash flood threat, with some very heavy rainfall, although we've only gotten about 3/4 of an inch here in Tallahassee. That will allow for some ponding, and that rain continues probably over the next few hours into the evening hours. If you have to drive on a Sunday, maybe you're coming home from that late church service, you're going to be driving through the rain here. But for now, we're going to go ahead and sign off here at FSU Weather. We're going to go ahead. We'll continue the updates here online. Matt has been updating us here on Facebook and Twitter, as well as in Instagram, so keep us on charge there. Also, follow FSU Alert for more updates here, and the National Weather Service upstairs, National Weather Service in Tallahassee. But until the next warning breaks, will be intermittent throughout the afternoon through probably 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. That rain continues through the evening hours. It's going to be a slick drive there through this evening. I'm meteorologist Jonathan Bellis for FSU Weather. Have a good afternoon.